ये एक्चुअली एक बहुत रेयर टाइप का है कैंसर। एल्क जो आपने कहा ALK जीन सब में होती है, लेकिन फॉर सम अननोन रीजन वो अभी तक किसी को नहीं पता है कि वो ट्रिगर क्यों होता है।
So like अभी current condition like situation क्या है?
Like an oral drug every day, so it's not the traditional chemotherapy as people understand it. ये तो oral tablets हैं, but उनके side effects होते हैं, so then you have to take other medicines to manage those side effects. So all in all, it becomes a very challenging kind of thing. I try to make the most of that particular day, you know, because like I said, I don't have line of sight. I don't sit here and make 5-year plans or 10-year plans. And you know, destiny, fate, whatever has not given me that luxury. So I don't want cancer to define my whole identity. So it's a part of me. Yes, it's a struggle I'm grappling with. But it's not my identity. It doesn't define me.
Hello and welcome back to Indian Masterminds. My name is Bhakti Kothari, and today we have with us a truly inspiring figure, a warrior in every sense of the word. Ms. Urvashi Prasad, the former director at Niti Aayog, is not just a name associated with remarkable achievements in public policy, health, and social development. She's a fierce cancer survivor who has faced stage 4 ALK positive cancer head on, embodying resilience and strength every single day. Despite the immense challenges, Urvashi continues to make an impact, balancing a demanding career, her passion for dance, and her relentless fight against cancer. Her journey is a proof of the power of the human spirit, and we are honored to have her share her story with us today. So welcome back again to our channel, ma'am. It is very, very lovely to have you here today. And we know that, you know, एक बहुत difficult time period रहा है आपकी life में when you were dealing with stage 4 ALK cancer, I believe. So first and foremost, if you could please let us know what kind of a cancer is this, कैसे body को affect करता है?
ये एक्चुअली एक बहुत रेयर टाइप का है कैंसर। एल्क जो आपने कहा ALK जीन सब में होती है, लेकिन फॉर सम अननोन रीजन वो अभी तक किसी को नहीं पता है कि वो ट्रिगर क्यों होता है। वो ऑन हो जाती है किसी के बॉडी में, एंड दैट इज हाउ द कैंसर देन यू नो इट लीड्स टू दैट। नॉर्मली ऑफ स्विच्ड ऑफ रहती है वो जीन इन एवरीबॉडीज बॉडी। सो आई डोंट नो कि ट्रिगर क्या होता है इन चीज़ों का, बिकॉज ये अभी भी रिसर्च चल रहा है। जैसे मैंने कहा, बहुत रेयर कंडीशन है, तो इस पे इतना रिसर्च भी नहीं हुआ है, लोगों ने इसको इतने अच्छे से समझा भी नहीं है। लेकिन ये ओवरवेलमिंगली होता है नॉन स्मोकर्स में, ओवरवेलमिंगली होता है यंगर विमेन में, और जो एशियन, साउथ ईस्ट एशियन डिसेंट के लोग हैं उनमें ज्यादा होता है। ये सब पैटर्न्स हैं, बट किसी को रीजन नहीं पता है कि क्यों एग्जैक्टली ऐसा हो रहा है। बट इसमें सबसे जो डिफिकल्ट बात वो है कि वो यही है कि मोस्टली इट इज डायग्नोज्ड एट स्टेज 4, जैसे आपने कहा, विच मीन्स कि वो काफी स्प्रेड हो गया होता है। एंड सो एट दैट पॉइंट अभी का जो सिचुएशन है, हमारे पास क्योर नहीं है इस बीमारी के लिए, तो आपको रोज दवा खानी पड़ती है, एक ओरल मेडिसिन होती है, एंड यू हैव टू ईट इट एवरी डे, बट द कैंसर बिकम्स रेजिस्टेंट टू इट एट सम पॉइंट, तो फिर आपको दवा बदलनी पड़ती है। और कभी कभी यू नो देन उसके बाद आपके पास होती नहीं है कोई दवा, because there's only so many drugs you can change. So तो अभी it's a very very difficult disease to deal with, क्योंकि वो क्योर जो आप देखेंगे बाकी बहुत कैंसर्स में, अगर relatively early stage है, even up till stage 3 in breast cancer, in many other cancers, you can pretty much cure somebody. Of course वो recurrence का डर रहता है हमेशा, but at least they can be off treatment. But in my type of thing, अभी I can never be off treatment as of now. You know, and so dependent हैं, you know, हम जैसे लोग रिसर्च पे कि भाई फ्यूचर रिसर्च आए और इसका कोई प्रॉपर वो सोल्यूशन बता पाए, तो वो है अभी।
So like अभी current condition like situation क्या है? What exactly is happening inside your body?
So अभी तो I'm on a medication, like it's like an oral drug every day. So it's not the traditional chemotherapy as people understand it. ये तो oral tablets हैं, but उनके side effects होते हैं. So then you have to take other medicines to manage those side effects. So all in all, it becomes a very challenging kind of thing. But you have to keep doing PET scans every quarter. तो फिर उससे आपको पता चलता रहता है कि what is the status of the disease, is it stable, or what is happening.
Right.
So it's a lot of ongoing monitoring. In fact, you have to also do ECGs, you have to do echoes for your heart, because sometimes these medications put pressure on the heart. So it's very challenging. I mean, I think it's because you are living with that disease every day and out, and it's not like, I always say कि it's the difference with somebody जिसका से 6 हफ्ते का कीमो हुआ, 3 महीने का कीमो हुआ, 6 महीने का भी कीमो हुआ, या रेडिएशन हुआ, सर्जरी हुई, जो भी हुई. It's not easy. I'm not saying it is easy, but there is an end date to it, or there is something that you can look forward to, that there is a finite timeline. But in my case, I don't have that. There is no end date. Which is in my sight.
Right.
I mean, I just live on that hope, but that sight is not there.
Right.
So I think that is the really difficult part about such an illness.
Yeah, it must be really frustrating also.
Yeah,
don't know
and
what the end
it's
result gonna be.
yeah, and it's like a sword hanging on your head.
Exactly,
I think if I can describe it simply,
Yeah.
every day it's like a sword, because you don't know when you wake up what is going to be the nature
how-
of
how's the
things
day going to
today.
go, right,
Yeah,
right.
so it's that which is, I think, the most difficult part.
एंड अभी हमने जो हमारा पिछला इंटरव्यू हुआ था उसमें हम एक टॉपिक पे बात कर रहे थे जहाँ आपने मेंशन किया था कि हेल्थ इज़ वेल्थ. अगर आप हर चीज़ को अवॉइड कर सकते हो, बट अगर आप अंदर से हेल्थ वाइज अच्छा फील नहीं कर रहे हो तो आप काम नहीं कर सकते, चाहे जैसा हो, चाहे पढ़ रहे हो, चाहे काम कर रहे हो. सो इतनी बड़ी, लाइक कैंसर इज़ वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट इलनेस, टर्मिनल इलनेस दैट वी कैन से आज के टाइम पे. सो इतनी बड़ी इलनेस को साथ में लेते हुए भी यू वर स्टिल वर्किंग प्रोफेशनली, यू वर आउट एंड अप फ्रंट, एंड आपने हर चीज़ करी है. कैसे आप अपनी ये दोनों इतने हैवी प्रोस्पेक्ट्स को मैनेज कर रही थी?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working, by the way. मैं आपको ये बताऊंगी कि नहीं,
Right,
because
like
no,
how
because I thought कि once I leave नीति आयोग तो मेरे पास तो कुछ होगा नहीं, but actually मैं तो और busy हो गई हूँ, because so many people, इसी तरह के कॉन्वर्सेशंस इतने होते हैं, इतने डिस्कशंस होते हैं, there's so much to write. I'm writing a couple of books, in fact, right now on public health, healthcare. So there's a lot that I'm doing even now, and that has always been my philosophy. That I try to make the most of that particular day, because like I said, I don't have line of sight. I don't sit here and make 5-year plans or 10-year plans. And, destiny, fate, whatever has not given me that luxury. That's really a luxury to be able to plan like that for the future and all. I mean, I don't have that. So for me, it's like, how do I maximize today? What can I do today?
Right.
And whatever I can do, whatever my health allows me, physical and mental health, there are off days. There are days when I don't feel like doing anything, and that's fine. I listen to my body, I listen to my mind. But most of the days, I'm very, very active. And I think that's how I've always been. I was always, also a dancer. I was a performer. So even now I like to do those things, whenever I can. So I don't want cancer to define my whole identity. It's a part of me. Yes, it's a struggle I'm grappling with. But it's not my identity. It doesn't define me,
Of course,
and so I don't want that aspect of mine, which is that, I do all these different things. I don't want that to ever go away.
Right.
As much as I can, it's in my hands.
Right.
So that's all I try to do.
That's great. And not just physically, but cancer is something जो आपको mentally भी बहुत affect करता है, आपकी mental health पे बहुत toll लेता है. So कैसे आपने इस mental health की problem को उस time पे deal किया? And और भी आपके जैसे और भी बहुत लोग हैं जो similar situations में होंगे, तो उनको भी आप क्या advice देते हैं कि कैसे अपनी mental health का उस time पे ध्यान रखें?
So it's a very neglected area actually, because and it's not just with a cancer patient. It's कोई भी आप और chronic बीमारी ले लो, किसी को diabetes भी हो बहुत सालों से, या chronic kidney disease हो, सबका अपना अपना repercussion होता है on your mental health. And I think उस एरिया पे अभी हम लोगों ने इतना ज़्यादा फोकस नहीं किया है. So especially in cancer. You go to an oncologist, वो आपको दे देगा भाई ये है आपकी कीमोथेरेपी या रेडिएशन या सर्जरी जो भी है, बट he will not talk to you about your mental health. वो नहीं करेगा, because of course उसकी ट्रेनिंग भी नहीं है, उसका वो काम भी नहीं है. So that is why we need to, and I have been advocating, for the last 2 years after my own experience, that we need a multidisciplinary team. to manage a cancer patient, because उसको मेंटल हेल्थ सपोर्ट भी चाहिए, उसको अपने साइड इफेक्ट्स भी मैनेज करने हैं, तो उसको हो सकता है कि कोई गैस्ट्रोएंट्रोलॉजिस्ट चाहिए, कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट चाहिए कि भाई हार्ट पे तो नहीं स्ट्रेस पड़ रहा, आप यहाँ कैंसर की दवाइयाँ पंप करते जा रहे हो, पता चला किसी का हार्ट रुक जाए उन दवाओं से, तो वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर रहा है. सो बोन्स के लिए यू नीड समबडी, because I found that with all these medications, with all these treatments, there was so much difficulty for me in climbing and getting downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Something as simple as that.
Okay, right.
Because वो knees में problem करता है, osteoporosis को speeden up कर देता है.
हाँ जी.
So then for that I had to take physiotherapy.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that you need multiple special specialities handling somebody with cancer, because it is such a complex disease. You cannot just say, here, take your chemo and go away and just come back for your scan and that's it.
Yeah.
And ऐसे नहीं हो सकता है. But हमारे यहाँ अभी ऐसे ही है cancer treatment for most part.
Yeah.
So mental health and all तो अभी feels like a luxury कि अगर आपके पास वैसी कोई service हो. But it's not a luxury, and that's what I want to say, that it is not a luxury. It is an essential thing. It is a basic fundamental thing. And every patient, when they are diagnosed with something which is serious, which is chronic, whatever, which can really impact their mental health, they must have access to
Right.
some sort of support.
Exactly.
Because your relationships change,
Yeah.
your social dynamics change, everything changes after such a diagnosis, and yet we have nobody to help you live in this new reality. So I think it is very, very important, and I can advocate for it because I have that voice, so I try to use my voice to do that, because a lot of patients can't.
Yeah.
उनको तो बेचारों को basics भी नहीं पता है, तो वो mental health तो बहुत ही advanced चीज लगती है.
Right.
So I try to speak on their behalf that we need cancer care to become more comprehensive.
Right. And एक और चीज़ जो होती है वो ये होता है कि somehow, मतलब unintentionally, intentionally, I can't say, but the common people become quite judgmental to people who have cancer. So
Yeah.
उनका मे बी इंटेंशन ना हो, बट दे somehow tend to judge the other person
Yeah.
कि ऐसे होगा, वैसे होगा, ये होगा. तो ऐसे लोगों, जैसे कितनी बार ऐसा होता है कि किसी की फैमिली में एक कैंसर पेशेंट है, नाउ आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट इमीडिएट रिलेटिव्स, बट लाइक दूर के रिलेटिव्स, दे आल्सो बिकम जजमेंटल कि एक मिसकंसेप्शन सॉर्ट ऑफ है उसको लेके. तो कैसे आपको लगता है कि एक फैमिली जिसमें एक ऐसा पेशेंट है या एक सेट ऑफ फ्रेंड्स जिनके से कुछ भी, अगर किसी का भी कोई अक्वेंटेंस भी है जो इज लाइक हु इज सफरिंग फ्रॉम कैंसर, उनको किस तरह से बिहेव करना चाहिए, वो अपने अंदर ऐसा क्या ला सकते हैं कि उनका जो जजमेंटल एस्पेक्ट है वो निकल जाए?
आई थिंक हम लोग तो बहुत चीज़ों में जजमेंटल हो जाते हैं, which I first also realized when I lost my father. Just the year before I was diagnosed with cancer, I lost my father, and I realized that people even judge you in your grief. People even judge you in how you whether you are sad, when you are crying, whether you are crying, whether you are, so we judge everything. And so I think even when it comes to cancer, there's a lot of judgments. How you are looking. Oh, people say to me, "Arey, but you don't look like you have cancer." I said, what type of look does a cancer person supposed to have?
Exactly.
There is no one look. I can look like anything. So, but these are the things, and people actually come up and say this to you, and very educated people. These are not, uneducated people who are saying these things. So I think that's what has, made me realize that we have a huge gap in just giving people that basic knowledge that what not to say, as you're saying, and I think it's basic things that don't comment on somebody's appearance.
Exactly.
Unless you have something very complimentary to say. Don't say it. There's no need to say, oh, you're looking like you put on a lot of weight, or oh, you've lost so much weight. I mean, there's no need to say that. Right? I mean, unless the other person discusses it with you or raises that issue. It's a different matter. Or you're very comfortable and friendly with somebody. So I think certain boundaries we need to teach, and maybe this is something that I actually think can be a life skill in schools, where you teach children that, listen, this is how you talk to somebody in this situation. This is what you say, this is what you don't say. Even in, simple grief, I would say, people say all kinds of things. Whatever, I'm so sorry, this, that. But I said, keep it simple. Just say that I'm thinking about you. That's it. Because if somebody's lost their father, anything you say will not make a difference to you.
Exactly.
You can say any words.
Exactly.
It will not make a difference,
Yeah.
right? Because that is an irreparable, huge loss
Exactly.
for somebody.
Exactly.
And so just say, you are in my thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of you. You know,
Yeah.
it's that simple.
Hmm.
But we complicate it. We feel like we need to say something very wise. We feel like we need to make the other person feel better. The reality is you cannot make anyone feel better. They will feel what they have to feel.
Exactly.
It is, you just have to provide some amount of compassion to them by just saying, I'm there for you. I'm here to listen to you. If you can listen to people, that's a great service you can do. Because sometimes all that somebody needs is somebody to vent to.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I'm not looking to you to solve my problem.
Yeah.
And you can't solve my problem also. But if you can listen to me, that's great. I mean, that's wonderful. So I think we need to teach people these things because unfortunately it doesn't come naturally to most of us. And we do end up saying the most bizarre things to people that we should just
True.
not be saying.
True.
So I think that if we could train, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe educate, and I think children are the best time to do it because once we've grown up, we're all beyond, you know, learning things.
Yeah.
So I think if we can do it in schools,
Yeah.
it's actually a life skill in my opinion, you know, and people don't think of it that way. But I think it is that, you know, how to handle difficult situations, how to handle complex emotions. These are, I think, life skills.
Exactly, absolutely. And you know, you've been battling cancer. You've been battling cancer. You lost your father around pretty much the same time. Then, of course, it took a toll on your mental health. Do you think that you know, after you got cancer and after everything happened with you, was there any profound lesson that you learned from it? That, like, something, like maybe some little ray of like a good thing that could have happened at the moment?
No, I mean, I cannot think of anything good. I don't think that such catastrophe, you know,
Of course.
leaves you with anything good, but it leaves you with a lot of realizations, for sure. Like I realized that most people will not support you, you know, in these crises. And unfortunately, you will only see their true faces when you are in the crisis, you know. And by this, I mean not just distant family or, you know, like friends. In fact, I've had a lot of very supportive friends. The problem has actually been a lot of my family members, you know, and they were not supportive at all. After my father went away, all his siblings disappeared, you know, from the face of the earth. All my cousins disappeared from the face of the earth, you know. So what I'm saying is that was a big learning. That very few people have the capacity to, you know, really be with you. And I think Manisha Koirala said this as well, that she lost most people during her cancer treatment. You know, she said hardly there were 2-3 who were willing to really like be by her side, hold her hand. Because I think fundamentally as human beings, see, we all want to be happy. We all want easy, happy situations. We don't want to be around somebody who is sad or depressed or, you know, so we say, nahi, you know, leave it, whatever. So that's what I realized. That ultimately you are your own best friend in a catastrophe. You know, you will have those core few people around you. And those are very valuable people and those are people you should stick on to. But don't expect a whole lot of people. Sometimes even your family will surprise you. So-called family will surprise you. And so be your best friend. You know, because sometimes it might just be you and that struggle. And so that's why I say take care of yourself. You are your own best friend, you know, and nobody else can come even close to that.
Exactly. And like, you know, coming back to the mental health topic, there's like people have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to taking antidepressants. बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं आदत लग जाएगी, नहीं लेना चाहिए, साइड इफेक्ट्स होंगे, नहीं लेना चाहिए. आपका क्या टेक है? You having been in that situation, आपका क्या टेक है कि एंटीडिप्रेसेंट्स लेनी चाहिए, नहीं लेनी चाहिए, और मतलब क्या कहना चाहते हैं इस बारे में?
See, it depends. It's a very individual thing because in my case, I would say at least till this point, अभी 2 साल से तो मैं ले रही हूँ, and I would say that for me it has been like a lifesaver, savior, because and my husband also says that. He says, you know, anti-cancer drug to theek hai, but I wouldn't have any life in my days if I wasn't on this antidepressant. Because after my diagnosis, for several weeks, months, I was in utter shock. And I was, you know, if you would have seen me, I would have looked like some sort of zombie. You know, I was just walking, going about my business. Even in the office, I was just walking around the corridors. It would look like I'm doing my daily things, but I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't taste the food I ate. I could hardly type a line on the laptop. It was such a struggle, such a battle. So I had to literally force my oncologist then, you know. I said, listen, before the cancer kills me, I'm going to kill myself. So you better do something. And so then he put me onto this antidepressant. It's called sertraline. It's a fairly common one. And for me, you know, I would say it's not perfect. I mean, it's not like all my mental health issues have gone away. I mean, obviously there's still issues, challenges, but it has really helped me. But there are equally people I know for whom it hasn't worked. So I think it has to be, you have to consult a specialist, obviously, you know, an expert. But it also depends on your own kind of, you know, body, whether it works for you, it doesn't work for you, what are the side effects like. I've thankfully not had too many side effects that I can attribute to sertraline. I think most of it is the cancer drug. So for me, it's been pretty, you know, I would say that it has brought some quality into my life, which was otherwise just not going to be there. I mean, I might have lived, but I wouldn't have lived, you know, as an actual human being, you know. So, yeah, so I think that, but that's just my personal experience,
Right.
you know, and somebody else can, and I know people for whom antidepressants haven't worked.
Right.
And so I think then you have to, you know, speak to the experts, speak to the specialists, see maybe something else works for you, some other class of drugs works for you. But whatever it is, I would say that do seek help.
Of course.
I think a lot of people don't even do that first step
Yeah.
because they don't want to acknowledge that, you know, we might be having an issue.
They're not ready to accept the fact.
Yeah. So I would just say don't do that because that can lead you to a very difficult situation. So at least seek help and then see what works out for you and what doesn't work out for you.
Right. And do you believe the line कि antidepressants की तो आदत लग जाती है, ये there'll come a point of time जब आप उसके बिना रह नहीं पाओगे? Is this a fact or a myth?
See, there is certainly जब आप छोड़ते हो, especially if you have taken for a while, you will have withdrawal symptoms. I think that's true for pretty much any medication that you've taken for a longer period of time. कि वो withdrawal होता है, but again वो कितना होता है और किस हद तक होता है, कितना लंबा चलता है, वो vary करता है. There's no like one answer to that. But ऐसा नहीं है that you can never come off them. You can. I'm sure you can, and I know people who have. But that is a process that has to again be done with an expert, with a specialist who can guide you. Ki, is this the right time for you to come off? Because also coming off at the wrong time or sometimes coming off abruptly can be very dangerous.
True.
So that should be avoided.
Yes, that's true.
But ऐसा नहीं है that you can never come off once you start. You can, I'm sure. But it also depends on a lot of, you know, your situation. I mean, like my situation, I have to take it till I can get out of this, you know, fundamental reason why I even had depression.
Yeah.
So, but if I can't get out of it, then maybe I have to keep taking it, you know. So I don't know. You can't really say that. But I would say that I think that's why experts are the best ones to guide you. And you must meet a psychiatrist, you know, you must meet a properly trained.
Yeah.
Because आजकल mental health में ये बहुत problem हो गई है. ये हर कोई counselor भी बन गया है. हर कोई advice दे रहा है. You know, मतलब so be careful in terms of who you consult.
Yeah.
If you are having a mental health issue, it has to be somebody clinically trained.
Exactly. And not just this, आपने dancing की भी बात करी है. Dancing is your passion.
Yeah.
And it helps you in your healing process. तो कैसे आपने एक तो ये discover किया कि डांस करने से मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है और कैसे आप उसको अपनी daily life में integrate कर रहे हो?
Dancing I have been doing for many years,
Okay.
many years.
हाँ जी.
So I have been trained professionally in salsa
wow.
and bachata. I have performed in many places, you know, Malaysia and Vietnam and Dubai and so पहले तो because pre-COVID था ये सब तो बहुत travel भी था in terms of performing and dancing and I used to love to do that, you know, because it's the thrill, you know, the thrill of getting your costume made and learning the choreography and then I think performing in front of a live audience is the most thrilling thing, you know, because it's also really like nerve-wracking because there's no retakes for anything. You can't say कि अच्छा sorry गलती हो गई, let me do it again. So
exactly.
that is there, but it's thrilling. You
Yeah.
know, if you're enjoying, they're also enjoying. It's great.
Yeah.
So so I did that. Then during COVID, I started learning belly dancing because I could do that online. Because
Right.
otherwise salsa bachata mostly couple partner dances हैं.
हाँ.
So वो COVID में तो हो नहीं पा रहा था. So then I started doing belly dancing. And there's a wonderful instructor in Gurgaon. So she started doing these online classes with me.
Yeah.
And then so then वो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगने लगा. Then I started, you know, doing different choreographies on Bollywood songs. And अभी तो मतलब I just do it like for fun right now. You know, it's more like a fun thing for me. कि वो कोई अच्छा गाना लगा बॉलीवुड का अच्छा आया तो उस पे
मस्त
कुछ
dance कर
रील
लेते हैं।
बना दिया कुछ कर दिया इंस्टा रील दिस दैट सो आई एंजॉय इट आई
Yeah.
लव टू ड्रेस अप एंड आई लव टू एज यू कैन probably see and I love the dance and music. It's so refreshing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it takes your mind off everything.
Huh.
You know, at that moment. In fact, I think that dancing for me is like meditation. A lot of people say meditation. I say, भाई मुझसे तो वो बैठ के and you know just trying to be with my thoughts वो हो नहीं पाता है. So for me, dancing is like that because I'm literally like thoughtless. I'm just into that moment. You know, into the music,
Yeah.
into the dance. So it's great. It's wonderful.
That's amazing, ma'am. So with this, we come to the end of our second segment. I am really, really happy that you could make it here, ma'am.
Thank you
And
so
thank you
much.
so much for joining us in the
Pleasure.
studio today.
Pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. Hope you liked the interview. Please like, share, and follow our channel for more such interesting conversations. This is Bhakti Kothari signing off. Thank you for watching.